We're just walking, and I saw my reflection, and I was like, that looks awful, but you need to be safe first and foremost. You, the kids, whoever, you need to be safe. So do what you need to do to get away. Be safe and let them work on them. If
Today's guest is Maria Williford, the founder of Full Circle Confidence Coaching and a powerhouse of faith and focus. She's overcome the lack of self-confidence, learning how to take small steps and build momentum toward her God-given purpose. Maria empowers other women and young girls through her nonprofit and her coaching program. So today we've got Maria in the house, so let's welcome Maria. Welcome, Maria.
Thank you, Sandy. I'm so excited to be here today.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
And where are you joining us from, Maria?
I am
just let
joining
my audience know.
Okay, I'm joining from Lancaster, California.
And how's the weather there?
Very cold, but sunny, and very nice out. Just happy to be indoors, though.
Oh, good. Lovely. So we want to get to know who Maria Williford is. I want to get to really know who you are. Can you tell us a bit about yourself? What has led you to be where you are today? What has been your journey?
All right, short story. I am a tall woman. I am 6 feet tall. So I've always stood head and shoulders above everyone in my family, except my brother. That was the only person who I didn't outgrow. And so, as you can imagine, being a young girl, and just being the tallest in the room all the time, that really messed with my confidence and how I carried myself. I would try to shrink and just kind of, hunch down so that I wouldn't be head and shoulders above everyone. And one day I just walked by a mirror, or it was like a large plate glass storefront or something like that. I was with my sister and my god sister, and we were just walking, and I saw my reflection, and I was like, that looks awful. I'd rather stand up straight and tall and own my height than to hunch like I just saw myself doing in that reflection. Okay. And so, long story short, when I was 19, I went to modeling school, which did a whole lot for my confidence. Everything I learned and just posture and etiquette and all that good stuff did a lot for my confidence. And then fast forward to being a young mother, and starting my career as a cosmetologist. I would have women, young girls, grown women, professional women sitting in my chair, and they just did not want to look at themselves in the mirror. Their self-esteem was low, their confidence was low. And I just started, over the years, as I was becoming a more seasoned hairstylist, I just started asking the Lord, like, what is going on with especially these women who were in these careers? Like, what is going on, Lord, with their confidence? And I asked, what can I do? And the Lord said, start teaching modeling because of what it's done for me. And that was the very first thing I started doing, was teaching teen girls in my husband's classroom modeling, etiquette, skincare, proper makeup application, dressing for your body. And it just brought me so much joy. And I saw their confidence just grow. I just saw, and these weren't like tall girls, they were average height young ladies, but still teen girls go through a phase where our self-esteem is not, of course, we're still growing. It isn't where it should be. But if I can help instill that confidence in them, the younger that it is instilled, the better they are moving forward in their lives. And I was like, I love doing this and I want to do more.
Wow, that sounds really exciting. You have shared with us how you have managed to get to be where you are today. And I would love to know, and my audience would love to know, during this whole journey, from you coming from point A to point Z of you being able to do what you're doing today, what kind of struggles did you face during your journey to get to where you are today?
Okay. Well, a lot of women probably cannot relate, but hopefully there are some tall women out there who can relate. They will be able to relate. For us, it is, especially in the 80s, before there was such thing as tall jeans and, websites where you can go on and just find clothes that fit you
Mm,
properly and you could find
yeah.
your shoe size. I didn't have any of that.
Wow.
So getting dressed was a challenge. And it's
Mm,
something that a lot of women just like, I don't get it. For tall women, especially before the age of the internet, it was a challenge. Okay. We're
yeah.
talking just buying men's clothes just so you can have something that fits right, you know. And the shoes were hideous for big feet. They were hideous. So that really messed with my confidence also. Um, so now, as a tall woman who can just go shopping anywhere, I make sure that I am
Mhm.
on point because I
Yeah.
know what it's like not to have the clothes, the fashions, what's on trend, and all that kind of stuff. But what really helped me overcome this was
Hmm.
my mom was a seamstress. And she taught all
Okay.
five of her kids, including my brother, how to sew. And I believe
Mm,
that out of all the siblings, I was the one who sewed the most because it wasn't just a hobby. Oh, I want a cute dress.
yeah.
No, for me, it was a necessity. I need pants for me. So
Mm,
I really got into sewing and making my own clothes. And once I started doing that, that did a lot for my confidence because people were seeing me as a well-dressed young lady instead of frumpy and just what I was dealing with before. Before
wow.
and after. So it's a big deal. Plays a huge part in my life now.
Funny enough, we have that in common. I used to, but for me, I used to make wedding dresses, like, and bridal wear. Yeah,
Nice.
so it was nice to hear that you made dresses as well. So was it just for you making just dresses for yourself or for other
I
people
was
as well?
making my wardrobe, pants, jackets, coats. Yeah. Yes. For me. Only me.
All right. Okay. So what can you say that has been the worst, like, what has been the worst things that you've really had to deal with? What is one of the things that you really want to highlight that you had to endure? And at what stage were you going through all these things in your life? Was it in your adulthood, in the time you were at school? Was it from the beginning of your young age? At what stage? And what was that like? Just give us a
I was a
picture
young
of,
teen. Yeah, so I was a young
wow.
teen when I was dealing with my height being too tall for junior
Yeah.
clothes, but not but too skinny for women's clothes. Okay, when you go through that growth spurt where you just grow straight up,
Yeah.
and but the
Yeah.
curves haven't come in yet, right?
Yeah.
So I was too tall for juniors and too skinny for women's. So I had to start sewing at a very young age. Okay, and that got me through that challenge. But I would say that just going through high school, being one of the tallest girls, and not being popular or dating or anything like that, because guys weren't going to date a girl who was taller than them and who could outrun them and all that kind of stuff.
Wow. Wow.
So that was like, I guess you would say it just chipped away at my confidence and my self-esteem. And it wasn't until after I left high school and started taking the modeling classes that all that was chipped away during those high school years began to come back to me. So it's just a challenge to walk in those shoes when you're very young and you're still
Yeah.
developing. and you don't know who you are, and what other people think actually still matters to you.
Yeah, definitely. Because at that age, the young girls are really impressionable. So what
Very,
people think is so
yeah.
important. You touched something on dating.
Hmm.
Were you not dating because you felt like you were not good enough, or you felt like you didn't have the confidence, or you were not really having boys coming your way? How did that play
All
out?
the above. All the above.
Wow.
All the above. I didn't have the confidence, and no one ever asked. So okay, no one ever asked. So yeah, that there was no dating for me in high school. In fact, I went to prom. I made my prom gown and everything, and the person who was supposed to go with me, he
Yeah.
worked in the same retail store that I worked at in my senior year. Something happened last minute, and I ended up going alone. But still had a good time.
You had a good
I
time.
think my confidence is coming back.
That's what matters, isn't it? Did you ever go through any form of bullying or name calling?
So let me tell you, I had a wonderful mother who was very confident, and she did not, number one, did not allow me to hunch whenever she was around, but she also instilled a lot of good common sense in us, and taught us to stand up for ourselves, and not to be a follower, not to just follow,
Mm-hmm.
people who aren't
Mm-hmm.
doing the right thing. So yes, there were some who did try, but once they realized that I wasn't, if this is a word, bullyable,
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
soon left me alone. So I did not allow myself to be a victim of bullying.
So, did this happen as a result of the support that you were getting from your mom, or this was just something that was now inbuilt within you, like having to say, you know what, I'm not going to allow anyone to
I
pull me
think
down,
both.
anyone to crush me?
Right, because of the way um, I was trained as a young lady with a lot of self-respect, and common sense. And my brother liked to teach us self-defense as we were kids, because he would come home from karate and practice on us. So you have no choice but to learn, right? So I
Yeah.
think that's what boys are for. That's what brothers are for.
Yeah,
Toughen the girls
exactly.
up.
Absolutely.
Right. So I learned how to stand up for myself, and
Hmm.
just without being mean or whatever,
Yeah.
but just being standing tall and just looking at someone and going, no, just
Hmm.
no. And they would be like, oh, I don't know what to do with that. Yeah. So there was no fear in me. That's all
Wow.
bullies
Wow.
feed on. Bullies feed on fear. And once they don't get that from you, then they move on.
Absolutely. So most of this, we credit this to your mom, right? Other
Yes.
than your mom, was there anybody else who was like a support system through this whole time that you're going through all these things? Was there anyone else that you confided in, or it was just your mom?
I didn't do so much confiding, but I did watch the women who were older than me, who lived by example. And
Mm-hmm.
they encouraged me, they affirmed me. So I'm the youngest of five. So my three sisters I looked up to. Well, one that's a year older than me, not so much because I was taller than her. But my two oldest sisters I looked up to. Because they were kind, graceful, and they were very affirming and loving. And so I had what I needed at home with my mother and my two sisters and my mom's sister, my auntie, who they never said a negative word to me. So I never had negativity coming from the inside out, which is worse than negativity coming from the outside in. Okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So having that affirmation from the women who are older than me just helped me to be, a strong, confident young lady on the inside, but not so confident on the outside, if that makes sense, dealing with my height.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So at what point did you reach a turning point whereby you say, you know what, enough is enough? How old were you? And how did you manage to, get to that point where now you were now fully confident of yourself to say, you know what, this is who I am, no matter what people think, I'm going to embrace this height. I'm going to embrace
Right,
this God-given beauty that I have. At what stage of
right.
your life did that happen?
Okay. So I was 19 when I started modeling school, but I still didn't have a whole lot of confidence, but I was carrying myself in a better way. But the internal confidence came over the years as a self-employed single mother who needed to make it work. Okay. Because I had a young lady who was relying on me. And so it was like, get it together, girl, get it together. So that is what I did. And that was, I would say, my mid-20s when I started walking more bolder and more confident in who I am and my God-given talents, and just owning, like, Maria. And I was discovering my talents, and putting myself out there, standing in front of people, singing and stuff like that, and just doing those types of things really instill more and more and more confidence in you. So by the time I was, like, I would say 30 years old, man, there was just no stopping me. I knew who I was. I know whose I am. And
Yeah.
there was nothing anyone could say or do that would make me ever shrink again.
Wow. I love that. Other than dealing with lack of self-confidence, was there anything else at that time in your life or even shortly after that you had to deal with it as well? Was there anything else added to what you were going through at that young age that you had to be dealing with separately? Or was it just lack of self-confidence?
It was just lack of self-confidence. I grew up in a good home with a wonderful mother. I would say that dealing with, for a short period of time, the relationship that my mother was in, that turned out to be abusive. But fortunately, being the strong woman that she was, she did, get out. And that right there taught me what I will not put up
Yeah.
with as a grown
Yeah.
woman. Okay. So it was an experience that I wouldn't wish on anyone, but it was also an experience that helped me grow and just learn what can happen in a relationship. And I said, that's one thing I am not going to allow in my life. And so as I went through different relationships, if I even saw a hint that person might start leaning towards abuse, I was out. I'm like, see ya. This is
Wow.
not happening in my life. So I then, another thing that really helped with my confidence was taking Taekwondo. I put my daughter in Taekwondo, and since I had to drive her there, I was like, I might as well take Taekwondo too. I'm here. So I went on ahead and
Yeah.
signed myself up because I love martial arts, and I've always wanted to learn a discipline in martial arts. So we went through a few years of Taekwondo and self-defense, and that did a lot for both of us, confidence-wise. And I would just wish that every woman out there, every woman would take some type of
Take some.
self-defense course. It's so important,
Yeah.
and it does so much for you. It did so much for me that my clients were like, you look great. And what's going on? I'm like, hey, I'm working towards my black belt, and it's a great workout and it's doing a lot for my confidence. And next thing you know, I had like 4 of my clients who signed up
Mm-hmm.
for Taekwondo. And I was like,
Oh.
wow, being that example is inspiring women. And so that's why I just love what I do now, because I know that my example helps
Mm-hmm.
to inspire and encourage women to do things that make their life better.
Wow. I like that you mentioned about taking taekwondo, and the congratulations on doing that. I mean, all power to you. And I absolutely agree that most women should, go down that path as well. What are some of the
Yes.
things that you can just highlight to us or some of the transformations, some of the changes that happened when you started taking taekwondo? I mean, for some of us who've never
Okay.
taken it, also some of my
Right.
audiences who've never, what are some of the
Okay.
things that actually took place?
Right. So what everyone could see was the physical transformation. Okay. I was getting ripped. as they say,
Wow.
when that ripped means that
Mm.
your muscles are popping,
Your
right,
body?
and that six
Yes.
pack is showing.
Yeah.
But it gave me a mental toughness, and that mental toughness got me to the place where little things no longer shook me, you know.
Mm.
And the discipline made from Taekwondo made me become
Yeah.
a more disciplined person,
Hmm.
right? And self-control. It teaches self-control. Martial
Okay.
arts teaches
Hmm.
respect for yourself. It teaches self-control.
Hmm.
It teaches you how to be courteous. People, in these movies, they think that they see these high-ranking martial artists like being bullies and stuff like that, but that's not
Yeah.
what's taught. If anything, when a parent puts their young one who's kind of out of control in martial
Hmm.
arts, it's going to bring them to reel them in where they have self-respect and respect for others, and they become more courteous and more disciplined. It's a whole mind shift as well as a body shift. And just knowing that you can defend yourself if you need to does a whole lot
Absolutely.
for your confidence and how you carry yourself in public. I am more self-aware of what's going on around me than the average person who's just walking around staring at their phone. That's one thing I teach in my Prevention Through Confidence workshop with girls. I'm like, put your phone down. Okay, you're
Yeah.
making yourself vulnerable. All right, be aware of your surroundings, then you'll be less likely to be chosen as a victim, because a perpetrator is looking for an easy target, and that person who's not paying
Yeah.
attention is an easy target. But if they see that you see them, they're like, oh, she already knows what I look like, what I'm wearing. I'm going to move on to the next one who's got her head in her phone. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's why I teach common sense self-defense in my sessions.
Oh, that is good. That is good.
Mm-hmm.
And before I go to the next question, I wanted to say something. The fact that you were able to go with your head, with shave your head, and without having to wear a wig, and just pull that through beautifully, says a lot about your
Thank you.
confidence. So I just want to applaud you on that one. It says
Oh,
a
thank you.
lot about your confidence here, because because most women nowadays, they're hiding behind wigs. They're just trying to
Right.
but you're still standing out, being
Yeah, thank
yourself,
you.
being natural, and that is amazing. Yeah. So
Thank you.
you touched on relationships. You just briefly touched on relationships, and that I just want
Mm-hmm.
to take you back a little bit.
Sure.
I would like you to speak to someone who could be watching this, and maybe they are in an abusive relationship, or maybe they're in
Mm-hmm.
a relationship whereby they want to come out but they're struggling to do it. What advice can you give that person, that woman, or that man that is watching this right now?
Mm-hmm. My advice would be to create a plan to get out, and that includes a support system of people who will have your back and help you, and that includes, you got to have your own. You have to have your own money, and I know that a part of abuse is financial abuse. So you have to find a way to have some money of your own, because you need that to get out. But it's not like you can't get out without it. There are organizations, of course, that will help you. But oh my gosh, in the age of YouTube and all that cool stuff, I would say going ahead and try to learn as much self-defense as you possibly can. Find your voice and start using your voice, and get that support system, so that once you have that plan and it's time to go, your head is on right, and you have what you need to get out. Because I am never going to encourage someone to stay and pray it away, or pray for him or her, or help them. They can do that when I'm safe.
Yeah.
They can do that when you're safe, if they're serious about changing. But you need to be safe first and foremost. You, the kids, whoever, you need to be safe. So do what you need to do to get away and be safe, and let them work on them if they choose to.
Absolutely. You can love them. You can pray from them from a distance. I love that. What's the one thing, Maria, that people should understand about your story or about your industry? What is that one thing that the listeners need to understand?
My industry, I'm in the coaching industry, okay? I am still a cosmetologist. I still love to help women look, feel, and be confident through, taking care of their hair and their skin, because that outward appearance is really important. But I really like to focus on helping women become more confident as an entrepreneur, and just how they show up in their everyday life. But what they need to understand, what we all need to understand, as what a coach does. And a coach is not someone who tells you what to do and how to do it. A coach is someone who helps to draw out what's already in you and help you to organize it and create systems that work for you specifically, and helps you to get moving forward in your life, your endeavor, whatever it is that you've asked for coaching for, so that you can be that best, beautiful, bold, audacious person that God has called you to be. And it's my job to just draw that out, not to tell you what to do, but to draw out what's in you that you already know. You already know. You just need somebody to be like, wake up, let's go.
That's right. Thank you for sharing this. What are some of the things that, or some of the cases, let me find a better word, not cases, but what are some of the scenarios that people have come to you for? What kind of help? Because I know you deal with confidence. So
Yes.
what kind of things, what kind of situations are people having to find themselves having a low self-confidence?
All right, great question. So I have two different clients. One was an in-person coaching, and the other one was a virtual coaching, because she was in another state. So the in-person client came to me for just confidence with her self-esteem, because she had recently just come out of an abusive marriage. Okay. But it was more of a mental, emotional, and financial abuse for her.
Yeah.
But her self-esteem was low. And so her coaching was modeling and how to carry herself with poise and grace. And I just saw her confidence just rising up in her the more she would rock the runway. And then I started inviting her to participate in some of my fashion shows. And every time I see her on the runway, she just is a totally different woman than what she was when she first came to me. Okay, so just that simple thing of learning how to carry yourself with poise and grace and confidence on the runway does a lot. It goes a long way and translates into other areas of your life. Now, the young lady in another state, it was virtual. She wanted to start a podcast, but she
Okay.
really didn't know. Yeah. And it was on faith, and she wanted to interview women on faith, and how their faith has brought them through a particular area of their life or circumstance. But she didn't know where to start. What do I do? How do I get this going? So her coaching session was me pulling out of her vision for this podcast.
Okay.
And I just asked her all the questions. And while we were on session together, I shared my screen with her. And with the help of AI, right there on during her sessions, I created her logo. And then we created her mission statement. And then we created, we just kept going on and just created at each stage of her sessions. We created something new for her podcast. And when we were done her sessions, over I believe it was 12-week session, she had her podcast and everything in place to get going. Okay. So,
Wow.
and that I love doing that. That was that creative side of me coming out and helping her build something beautiful.
Amazing, amazing. You touched on faith. Whilst you're talking about your last client, you touched on faith, and that's something I would love to ask you. How has faith helped you in your journey? Has it been something that has played a role, or it's been something that has been in the backseat?
Oh, huge role in my life. I love the Lord. I know He loves me. And, there's this saying, when all else fails, pray. I
Yeah.
believe pray first. Don't try everything else that's going to fail, but just take it to the Lord first and foremost. So, I'm just going to talk about when I found out I was pregnant with my daughter at 21. And I gave birth to her at 22. But when I found out I was pregnant with from this short-term relationship, that I knew wasn't going anywhere. So, and I already knew I was going to be a single mom. I already knew. And so I just said to the Lord, Father, I need you. I need you to be my husband. I need you to be her father. I need you to be our provider. In Jesus' name, amen. Let's go. And then from there, I use my faith to take small steps forward and listening to the wisdom that the Lord put in my life. And like my pastor, she saw me doing my daughter's hair when she was just a toddler, because I was doing dead-end jobs. I was a waitress. I was doing retail, and she saw me doing my daughter's hair and she said, Maria, you should go to beauty school. You're great with your hands. And I was like, I never even thought about that. What are you talking about? I don't want to do hair. Next thing you know, I'm like, I need to follow this wisdom. And my mom was like, yeah, you need to follow that wisdom. So through faith, I went to the office, the beauty school, wherever, and I just got the process rolling, even though I didn't know that's what I wanted to do with my life. But I just stepped out in faith. My mom said, you'll never be unemployed. And I was like, well, yeah, okay, let's go. Let's do this. And I loved it. I've loved it for 30 plus years. I've loved it. And I believe that put me on the road to doing what I'm doing now, because I'm always helping women look, feel, and be more confident just by standing behind the chair and doing their hair. And it's faith that led me to becoming a homeowner, as a single mom at 30. And it's the faith of taking those baby steps and trusting in the Lord that led me to opening my salon at what was I, 33? I think 33. I opened my salon, you know, and I never thought I was going to be a salon owner. I thought I was always just going to rent a chair, but the Lord
Yeah.
ordered my steps, and next thing you know, I'm signing a lease, you know, because I'm just listening to the wisdom, and I'm just following the Lord's unctioning in my heart. And I'm just taking little steps. I'm not taking huge leaps. Faith is
Yeah.
just putting that one foot in front of the other and allowing the Lord to open the doors and make that path, you know, for you seen as you are step out in obedience.
And that is that is definition of faith with works.
Uh-huh.
Absolute
Yes.
definition of faith with works.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No longer.
You know,
Yeah.
I prayed, Lord, be the provider, but I didn't just sit there and say, okay, Lord, I'm waiting for you to provide. No, I went to beauty
Yeah.
school. I showed up every
Yeah.
day. And yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta put that work behind it,
That
man. You
faith
gotta
in
go.
work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was no longer just about making declarations, making affirmations, and
Right.
believing and declaring things of your life. You had to
Right.
take those steps. And that
I had
is
to take the steps.
properly you didn't make any excuses. You didn't say, oh, I'm a single mom, oh, this didn't work out. You just
Exactly.
you just lifted
Exactly.
yourself up by faith
Right.
and you did what you had to do.
Yes. Yes. I did what I had to do. I
Well,
listened to the voices of wisdom, and yeah, did what I had to do to make life good for my daughter and for myself.
yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. So what can you tell someone out there? It could be a single mom or someone who's just found themselves to be a single mom now,
Right.
or someone dealing with something, anything else, and they feel like nothing good is going to come out of them. They feel like they're not capable of making a name for themselves or achieving things. Like absolutely nothing good is going to come out of their story. What can you tell that person today? Because we've listened to your story. We've listened from your point A, and we've had your point B. We've had your point C. You know, you've had to put in the work. You had to have the faith. You had to
Right.
trust in the Most High. It was a process. So what
It's a
can you tell
process.
that person out there? What
Yeah.
can you tell that man or that woman out there? You know, this is not the end, but this is just the beginning. What can you tell them?
Right. Okay. So we all have our story. We all have our challenges that we're going through. I have heard some of the most horrific stories when women sit in my chair, things that they've experienced in their life, but you can overcome these things
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for sure if you choose to put your faith and your trust in the Lord and ask him every day to guide you. Focus on moving forward. Do not focus on the past, okay? Our story is history, and we should
Yeah.
always learn from history. Learn, take from that what you need what you need to learn, and what you need to survive, and what you need to move forward. You might learn what not to do. Your story could be a
Mm-hmm.
cautionary tale. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
never doing that again, right? But don't dwell in it. Don't sit there in it. Move forward. Take little steps every day that move you forward. And before you know it, you're going to be in a different place. You're going to be a different person. Yes, you want to become a different person. Don't be that same person you were 10 years ago. That is not growth, and that is not good. Okay? If a friend says to you, you're the same person you were 20 years ago, that is not a compliment. You should be always changing and growing and evolving, and that is not a bad word.
Not at
Evolving.
all.
You should always
Yeah.
be growing. Okay. So please, no matter what is going on in your life and where you are and what struggles you're dealing with, please get the help that you need and continue to take baby steps forward. Anybody can take baby steps. Okay. And lean on those around you who love you, and listen to the voice of wisdom and of reason so that you can grow and move forward. And you will. You will. one day you're going to turn around and you're going to look and you're going to say, look how far I've come. Look how far I've come because I'm focused on the future and not on the past.
Wow.
That's what I would say, because that's how I've lived my life.
Wow. I love it. And you've shared what you've just shared with people. And your life has been an example of what you're saying. You're not just talking the talk, but you have walked the talk. That's what I've enjoyed about your story. We are listening from someone who has walked the walk and talked the talk.
Amen. Yes.
We're so proud of you, Maria. And I'm so grateful for, taking the time to come and join us today. And thank you for sharing you're welcome. Thank you for sharing your journey of faith, sharing your journey of focus and purposeful action. We have seen some purpose in every action that you have taken. And for anyone that has watched or listened into Maria's story, and you have seen yourself in her story, it might not be, your story might be different. It might not be identical to Maria's. You might be facing your own challenge, your own low self-esteem as a result of maybe a past relationship or bullying or anything else that you could have faced or are currently facing right now in your life. And if you want to connect with Maria, where can they find you? What platform? Where can they find you? How can they connect with you if they want to connect with you?
So my website is fullcircleconfidence.org. And I am on Instagram and Facebook, Coach Maria W. So those are the three places, and on YouTube, Coach Maria W. I think that's the YouTube one. Look up Maria Williford.
Okay.
But yeah,
All
Coach
right,
Maria
brilliant.
W. Coach Maria W. On TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Okay. Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you so much. This podcast is made possible by people who believe in the power of story. If you'd like to walk with us and help keep these conversations going, you're welcome to become a supporter on this platform. If you feel led to support this work and walk with me as we continue sharing stories that point us back to hope, you can find the link in the description or in the comment section. I'm going to list Maria's social platforms in the comment section if you want to know where to find her. And if you want to continue to grow and you're enjoying the conversations that we are having on this platform, be sure to like this video. Be sure to share it with a friend who needs this and subscribe to this channel so you do not miss out on any of the conversations that we will be having in this place. So for now, we're checking out. Thank you. Take care and stay blessed. Bye-bye.